Hello and welcome back to into today's video. I'm going to have a June look ahead today, look ahead to the rest of June, perhaps just about into the first bit of July as well actually. A bit of a sneak peek at the start of July. I'm going to use some of the longer range models. Now, before I get on with the video, I just want to explain about the advertising. There's keyword ads on some of my pages at gazmobiz.com. It'll illuminate some of the words green, and those green words do display links. You can click through those links to the advertiser's website to support gazmobiz.com if you are interested, of course, in what the links are displaying. Also want to explain about the Stormwatch page. We've got some thunderstorms across southern parts of the country today and down in the southwest later. You can find out all the detail on that on the Stormwatch page. I've done a video about it. It's up on the Stormwatch page, so have a look at that if you're interested in what's going on the south coast, in the southwest. Later, in terms of thunderstorms, we have had some very interesting weather in the south this morning. We'd like to have more interesting weather in the southwest later on, so yes, check out the Stormwatch page. You can get to the Stormwatch page, by the way, from the drop down menu. There's a menu on the top of this page. Go to videos, the menu will drop down, look for Stormwatch and click on Stormwatch. You'll go through to the Stormwatch page from there, and yes, you'll be able to see all the detail on the storms that have happened on the south coast and will possibly occur in the southwest later on. This video is going to deal with the rest of June. We're going to have a look at next week first of all. As I was explaining yesterday, there is a risk of thunderstorms next week, a thundery breakdown perhaps around Thursday or Friday next week. Difficult to pin it down at the moment exactly, but the GFS is going for this quite well this morning. This morning actually. This is the chart for Wednesday the 12th of June. Low pressure is running in off the Atlantic. As I explained yesterday, we've got a battle really going on between low pressure in the Atlantic, high pressure up over Scandinavia. And what the GFS this morning wants to do is run this low pressure in on Wednesday and then push it off up north and stall the low pressure. So as we get through to Thursday, that low pressure is pushed up to the north of Scotland, left us in this very slack flow across the country, bringing up warm air from the south with that. And as we get through to the end of Thursday, in that warm flow, we start to develop this area of low pressure from France. This is a proper thundery low pushing up from France on Thursday the 13th of June. Look at the heavy precipitation models going for across much of central, southern, southeastern England through the course of Thursday evening. Really torrential rain there, no doubt accompanied by lightning and thunder as well. That is a proper thundery low pushing up from France in a Spanish plume. Now, we're on the cool side of the low that's developing, so temperatures aren't particularly exciting, but it'd be very humid. But look how hot and humid it is across much of France. So that's the energy potential that's going into that area of low pressure. That's a proper thundery sort of low developing over France on this morning's GFS through Thursday next week into Friday. We do have to keep an eye on that. That could bring some proper thundery weather. Now, the ECMWF doesn't really go for this as much. This is the chart for Wednesday. The low pressure is running in off the Atlantic, pushing up against that high pressure to the east. As we go through 24 hours, we find that low pressure has really just pushed through across the country. It hasn't pushed up to the north of Scotland. Consequently, we haven't pulled up the heat and humidity from France. So the ECMWF doesn't really go for a thundery sort of breakdown through the middle of next week, and neither does the GEM really. This is the chart again from the Canadian model for Wednesday, the low pressure pushing up against that area of high pressure to the east, and it just sort of runs it through very quickly across the country as we get through into Thursday. Again, we don't pull up that southerly wind as we do on the GFS. So the GFS is actually a bit isolated with its idea that we're turning thundery through the course of Thursday and into Friday next week. It's a bit on its own with that idea. GFS and ECM don't really agree with it, but nevertheless we do need to keep an eye on the situation through the middle and latter stages of next week. There is the potential for some thunder, but it's uncertain at this stage. Now, as we go out beyond this, let's have a look at the 500 millibar height anomalies from the Beijing Climate Centre for the rest of June. 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. Important telling that, see, that's where we've got weather going on. This 500 millibar height anomaly is broken down into 10-day periods from the Beijing Climate Centre. So this is taking us, this first slide is taking us from the 6th to the 15th of June. So ready for the next week. And what we're seeing here is a big area of above average heights up over Greenland, and then they extend back into the British Isles. So whilst we have got above average heights over Greenland, it's not too bad for us, because the above average heights do extend down across the British Isles as well, and they actually extend over here to the east of the country. This area of low pressure is in the Atlantic, trying to push in, but the heights really to the north and to the east and over British Isles are the dominating fact here for this next week, and I think that's pretty plausible, really. That's quite likely. Next week isn't going to be too bad. This low pressure is coming up against that area of high pressure, as I've already explained, could trigger a thundery breakdown, but really the high pressure is still in the ascendancy to quite a large degree. But as we get through to the next 10-day period, which takes us from the 16th to the 25th of June, well, then the heights have all collapsed over Greenland. Where have the above average heights gone to the north of the country? They've collapsed, and really we've got below average heights here extending down from Iceland, and the above average heights are really sitting to the southwest of the country there, with the ever-present Azores High. But this is implying that low pressure is going to start to develop much more widely as we go through that second week of the period from the 16th to the 25th of June. So going into the second half of June, we're likely to be seeing more of a low pressure influence coming along. And then just look what happens as it gets through to the third 10-day period of this forecast. These are 500 millibar heights, with orange areas indicating above average heights and high pressure, blue areas indicating below average heights and low pressure. Look what it's done as we get through to the 26th of June to the 5th of July. It set up a big trough there right over the top of the British Isles. A big trough of low pressure has taken over pattern. The high pressure is sitting just to the south of Greenland now, so that is a very, very poor summer pattern, actually, if that's right from the Beijing Climate Centre. A big trough of low pressure gets going at the end of June across the country. That will be very cool and unsettled, coinciding with lots of events: Wimbledon, Glastonbury, British Grand Prix, many events coinciding with this latter part of June, early July period. Would be really quite poor indeed. Precipitation forecast from the website weatherweb.net. You can find weatherweb.net as you can the Beijing Climate Centre on my links page. This is the precipitation forecast from the CFS model at WeatherWeb this morning. This is for the first weekly period, again taking us from the 6th to the 13th of June. What we're looking at in that weekly period, in the week coming up really, is high pressure sitting to the east and the north. So this is very similar to the Beijing Climate Centre idea. The low pressure is out in the Atlantic trying to push in there from the country, but really the high pressure to the north and the northeast will be the dominating factor for the much of the coming week. Much of next week should have anticyclonic influences. Could trigger some thunderstorms as these low pressures try to push in to that high pressure, as we've already explained later next week. But really the high pressure is quite dominant. But look what happens as we get through to the second weekly period, which takes us from the 13th to the 20th of June. Then it's much, much more unsettled. Low pressure is dominating this, because we've got above average rainfall really for much of the country, and extending down through much of France as well. Low pressure really in control there. If that's right, the high pressure is retreating away to the north of the country, so low pressure takes over. Again, very similar to the Beijing Climate Centre idea through that weekly period, the third weekly period. Then we get through to the next weekly period, which takes us through to the 27th of June. Again, it's a very similar idea, above average precipitation being forecast by the CFS model here across many parts of the British Isles. The above average heights then are sitting down to the southwest around the Azores and up to the north around Greenland. But really for us, low pressure looks like it's going to be dominating through that period up to the end of June. Above average precipitation expected there, and that continues into the next weekly period, taking us to the 4th of July. Again, it's an above average period for precipitation going through into the start of July, with low pressure really dominating, and high pressure again is away to the north and away to the southwest. But low pressure is the dominating factor for us. And finally, having a look at charts from the South Korean model. I've only just started using these, so I'm not sure how reliable this model is. This is the the pressure forecast for the end of June, for late June. I'm not sure what sort of time period that encompasses. Presumably it's something like the 20th to the 30th of June. It probably broke down into 3 10-day periods. We've got above average heights sitting here just to the west of the country on this model. High pressure is out to the west. Low pressure as a trough is sitting over Scandinavia. So that's probably more settled for the west, less settled for the east and the north, actually. And it probably is quite cool as well, with winds coming more from the north or northwesterly direction. But it's not too bad. It's not as bad as the Asian Climate Centre and the CFS. Certainly it's not as bad as that. And as we go through to early July, this is the idea from the South Korean model for early July, but you get a big area of high pressure sitting to the west and to the southwest of the country. That's not too bad at all for early July. High pressure really is quite dominant. The low pressure is up to the north and the northeast. So that isn't too bad an update from the South Korean model. It's better than the last update, which was a couple of weeks ago. It's better than that, and there's much more of an anticyclonic influence for late June and early July. So that's pretty good if you want to keep it settled. But the idea from the Asian Climate Centre and the CFS is that we're very quickly going to be breaking down this settled weather and turning much, much more unsettled through the last stages of June into the start of July. And this is the idea I've been going with really for June, that this settled and lovely weather that we've had to start off the month is not going to continue, and we'll see a breakdown to the pattern as we go through the middle and last stages of the month. It looks like we're still more or less on course for that idea. So again, the idea really is to make the most of this fine weather while we've got it, because I'm really not at all sure how long it's going on for. Potentially much, much more unsettled through the middle and last stages of June, and possibly extending into the first stage of July as well. That's it for now. I hope you found the video interesting. It's all speculation really. These models are highly experimental, so don't take it too seriously. We do have a week ahead forecast tomorrow. Could be quite an interesting one if those storms are still being shown up by the GFS. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching.